It's Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is November 3rd, 2025. Welcome to the podcast. Today I want to talk about U.S. government policy on artificial intelligence, what we know now. And what's prompting this is, as you all are doing, I occasionally watch the news and I hear them talking about artificial intelligence. And as you also know, that the current government of US President Donald Trump is promoting it as well. I wanted to dig in with some facts and details that you may not hear on the mainstream media. So let's start with where we're at so far with AI jobs. So according to the research I did, AI displaced jobs. Recent data shows thousands of jobs have been cut in 2025 due to the automation of artificial intelligence. 10,000 specific cuts alone from artificial intelligence. Now, keep something in mind from the start. The country is going through changes economically for other reasons, and job people losing their jobs is nothing new. I was in the workforce over 40 years, and every 2 or 3 years people were losing jobs. So we have to differentiate between corporations cutting back to make more money and getting rid of jobs versus the AI being brought in to actually replace the human. And that's something that I think needs to be explained a little better. All right, so let's look at what the short term impact is. So, tens of thousands of jobs cut in the technology sector in 2025 due to AI and automation. So, here's an example. So, when you call up your bank now, when you call up any customer service area, you are noticing that it is an automated person that you're talking to, and it's tough to talk to the human unless you jump through hoops to do it. That would be one example. Now, companies that are doing it, and it would make sense if you are in the technology field that it would affect you. Companies like IBM, banks, companies like Dropbox have announced job cuts that have linked to AI implementation. Besides IBM and the Commonwealth Bank, it's a lot of newer companies in IT that are actually doing that. So let's look at long-term projections. High potential exposure. Goldman Sachs predicts up to 300 million full-time jobs globally will be exposed to AI. Significant task replacement. While some jobs may be eliminated, others will likely be transformed as AI handles repetitive tasks requiring workers to adapt and develop new skills. And then the last one is job creation. Projections also indicate that AI will create new jobs and increase productivity through these new jobs may not be the same locations or require the same skills. Now, this one, job creation, is where I want to dig in at and what should really be talked about. One of the things about AI, and I talked to a couple of people in various industries, not just IT, is that when you go to work right now, when you're working on a project, you have tools that you can use, AI tools. So there's a couple of them. And what I'm being told is they can help you with the project, meaning that they are the experience level that you don't have to do massive research and you can figure it out in a couple of minutes based on telling them what to search for. Now, there's two things that happen. You have to know what to ask the tool to look for in order to get the best results. So they want to train people in the workforce how to ask the questions and how to formulate what it is you really want it to do. Now, let's talk about the job part of that. The job part of that is this. If you will remember that when you apply for a job, there is a job ad that explains duties. Now, in order to get paid more money, you have to have certain experience levels. If the artificial intelligence is implemented correctly, you're not going to have years of experience to take the job. Now, what does that equal? It equals that when you take the job, you're not going to get paid as much because you don't have to have that experience level. The artificial intelligence will have it. And that is one of the biggest issues that's not being talked about. So that impact will be pretty much making people's pay a lot less. And then an unintended effect will be that the jobs that we are currently talking about are middle class jobs. So I define middle class between 80,000 and 150, depending on if it's a married couple, etc. So if both of you are making 70, so those are the people who buy cars, they buy houses, and all of that stuff. Now, I kind of hinted about what that means for the workforce. So if we're doing this job transformation, focus on human skills, okay, that is a part that I don't think will really get that developed, because as a corporation, the bottom line is profit. How much profit can they make? Because as you well know, when people are downsizing jobs, positions, they're looking at who makes the most money and how to get rid of them, and how to get the better value for the buck. And also, a lot of companies are having developers develop in-house AI products that do the same thing. Well, why are they doing that? They're doing that because the big companies that have the chat GBTs and all that stuff, you have to have a license for that. So if you have a license for like a medium-sized company of 300 people, that's a lot of money. See, that's how Microsoft made all of its money. It was on licensing of their product. So the companies have gotten smarter about that. But this artificial intelligence is going to affect jobs. Now, the problem that I have, is when you look for information, it's hard to find it. It took a while to find actual information about artificial intelligence and what the impact is going to be. Why is this important for you? Well, first of all, skills won't matter in certain jobs anymore because, like I said, you're going to have the AI present and it's going to take over the technical part of it. All you're going to do is tell it what to do. So the transformation is already happening, and we're going to lose skill sets of people experience. Now, they also say that the focus on human skills, roles that rely on emotional intelligence, creativity, critical thinking, manual dexterity are considered less vulnerable to automation. Well, I don't think that that's true either, because it seems like now that it's taken off, if you look at social media, they are developing actors, they're developing bots that can have conversations with you, etc. So they're not really, meaning the people writing these articles, I'm not sure if they're trying to give you all of the details that you need. Now, let me pivot quickly to robots and AI that nobody is talking about. This is the one area that I think that we should be talking about. So, according to my research, AI robots designed for domestic use will be available to pre-order in 2026. Now, who are the companies doing it? All right. 1X Technologies, which is backed by OpenAI. You've got Tesla. You've got Apple. Now, why is this important? Do you remember last fall, or the summer and the fall before, when we were having issues with importing goods from physically moving them from the ships to the port and then delivering them to the trains to get all of these goods out? They were trying to, the corporation was trying to just use the AI robots. And the people working at the time were saying that you should be able to use the humans too, because they wanted most of that workforce to be robots instead of humans. And so they finally got them to back down from just using the robots for getting containers off of these ships. Now, Tesla was bad too, because they wanted to totally automate their factories. Those are good paying jobs. Imagine in Detroit if they did that with robots totally running and assembling cars. They would save money, but look at, because the robots, you don't have to give them benefits, and they definitely don't need health insurance. Correct? So this is the area where we need to focus at, is long-term implications for the humans. You can blend it in. I did a podcast about it a year and a half ago, but give it menial labor, maybe research, maybe medical research. Let it assist doctors and surgeries and stuff like that. If it attacks IT jobs and other jobs, it's not just going to be their customer service jobs. You're looking at a workforce that's going to disappear. And policy in the United States, people need to pay attention to it, because it's the policy of AI that's driving the changes that will happen to the workforce. This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Let me know what you think.